They don't care about people. They just want repeat customers. All of them, the doctors, big pharma. And so when you go in there and you say, I feel this, and they give you a prescription that's a band-aid with the symptoms, but it doesn't really fix the problem and it just creates more.
Karen, how did you find Carnivore?
Well, just a little bit of backstory. I've been overweight my whole adult life, and um, my daughter was killed in a car accident 3 weeks before that thing happened to the world, and I was in a bad way for a while. Um, Using that and the lockdown and anything else that I could rationalize to use for an excuse to eat junk. And I was very much a carbohydrate addict, insulin resistant, and I kept seeing this stuff advertised on TV about insulin resistance. And I'm sure a lot of you have probably seen the commercials. Um, so I thought I'd try it. And it didn't seem to make things go any faster. It seemed to help a little bit with cravings, but my sister had, and that's another story. Um, my sister had been on keto for a while and she had some success with it. And so I talked to her and decided to go ahead and try it. So I got on YouTube and I found a channel called Serious Keto with a guy named Steve who was very good. And he was doing a lot of kind of this instead of that recipes, things that would qualify for keto, but that were similar enough to our regular food, not to like make you not want to eat it. And I'm a foodie. I like to cook. I like to eat. I like food. And so it was hard. I couldn't be Carrie. I couldn't be Lion. I couldn't just eat a steak every day. That's not enough variety for my brain. And so I started watching Steve on Serious Keto, and then YouTube started giving me suggestions, and there was Carrie with Homestead How. And he was on a day 90 something the first time I saw him. He was between 90 and 100 days. And he had lost, I think, around 60 or 70 pounds at that time. Maybe not that quite that much, but probably 50 or 60. And I was like, well, man, I can stand on my head for 2 weeks. I can do anything for a little while. And it fit right into my eating style because I've always hated vegetables. Dr. Chafee is my hero. Dr. Chafee gave me permission to hate vegetables and to not feel obligated to eat them because of the lies told to us by the government and corporate America and big pharma and the medical community, because they're all in cahoots, if you ask me. But once I saw Carrie, then I was just all in. And I didn't have a lot of victories on the scale at the beginning because I was fighting with the cheese. I ate too much cheese, like in the first 30 days. So I got managing that and cut back on it. And I'm also a potato addict. Potatoes. I would eat some kind of potato probably morning till bedtime. I don't care what. Baked, chips, hash brown, fries, name it. So I had a real hard time with the whole not eating potatoes. The rest of it, I could care less. I don't care about sugar. I bet I haven't knowingly like put a piece of candy or anything in my mouth in, gosh, probably a year. And I was doing that and no bread before I ever really dove into the keto. and the carnivore. But when I found out I could just eat meat, I was like, oh, that's a prayer been answered. So now I'm on, let me look, I have some notes here because I forget things. I am on day 171 today. And as of Saturday, I've lost a total of 73 pounds. The first little bit of that, 49 of that has been on carnivore, and the little bit before that was on keto. And so I've learned how to manage things. I've got a keto mojo meter now so I can monitor my ketones. Um, I've pretty much got off all my medication. I wasn't on anything really bad, just your standard that they give everybody, metformin for diabetes, and I was on Januvia, and he had me on Trulicity injections once a week for a while. And then 2 blood pressures, and then the Lipitor, which I stopped that about 4 months ago because Dr. Berry said it was so bad. And I went back and looked at some of my former test results, and I didn't really need to be on Lipitor. And that was backing up my belief that they don't care about people, they just want repeat customers. All of them, the doctors, big pharma. And so when you go in there and you say, I feel this, and they give you a prescription that's a band-aid with the symptoms, but it doesn't really fix the problem and it just creates more. Anybody that watches TV knows that every single commercial break, there is a drug commercial. And you see a lot of them are for gut medicines. What's wrong with everybody that their gut doesn't work? It's what they eat. Hello. But they
So, very,
can't have this. They can't have
the,
this because they lose their repeat customers.
yeah, that is a very good point. Like, why does everyone have all these gut issues? Animals don't have these gut issues, right? Because they're not
Not
eating the
unless
same
you
junk as
change their
us.
diet on them.
Yeah.
You have a house pet and you drastically put them on totally different kind of food, they're going to have diarrhea. Guaranteed. You can't do that to and whether the food they were eating was good or bad, it doesn't matter. That's what their body is adapted to, and it's learned how to process whatever it is that they're putting in there. And we're living beings is just the same. We do the same thing, and our bodies have become adapted to all this crap. Now, back to Dr. Chafee. And this was something that just, I was astounded. So, this is straight out of Dr. Chafee's mouth. In the 1800s, the obesity rate in America was 1.2%. If you were fat, you were probably in the circus because everybody wanted to know what was wrong. By 1940, it had risen to 6%. We were seeing the beginnings of big agriculture and big farming and um, food corporations coming in. The Kellogg's, dirty, rotten scoundrels. And by the 1970s, it was up to 13%. And as of now, it's 42%. And I think that's
That,
quite
that's
shocking.
that is a shocking rise, isn't it?
And it you can correlate it exactly to the timing of big agriculture, radio ads, TV ads, and once it's a visual, once in the 50s, the TV came out and everybody was seeing it. And then convenience for women. It was a whole thing. It was a whole thing with society. After the war, things were pretty prosperous, but then you got into the 60s and we had a couple of presidents that weren't so great. We had inflation issues, and then it just got to be where people couldn't live on one income anymore. Women had to start working to supplement the family income. And then convenience foods just went crazy from there. And then the microwave came.
Mm.
So, yeah, it's just been a I mean, when you stop and look at it like that on a timeline, it's pretty remarkable.
Mm. Um, yeah, it's so scary that there are so many associations and organizations and people, health professionals out there that consistently want to tell us that it's something else. It's not all the what we've just described. It's not the convenience foods. It's not the processed ultra processed foods. It's meat. Meat is what's causing our problems.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm, yeah.
And
So,
then they stick some sugary candy in your face and it says fat free on it. So, it's got a bazillion carbs in it. I just came down to a rule where I'm not going to stress over a handful of carbs. That's silly. I know I'm fat adapted. My ketones are telling me that I'm in ketosis. And so now my body doesn't care about a little it's like dumping over your trash can and the little guys in there that's working when you're in autophagy and they just come along and they sweep it up, throw it in the trash. Oh, there goes some carbs. It's not like you've dumped a whole garbage truck in there. Now, if you do that, your body's gonna wig out. It can't handle that now. But if you put a few in there, it's going to be able to clean it up. And so you can't stress over all of that stuff. And so I just figured the rule, and I can't remember where I heard this from. It might have been Dr. Mindy Pell's, might have been one of the Indian doctors I watched. But anyway, he said, just take that 5 gram rule. If it's 5 grams of carbs or less, eat it. If it's more, then you probably shouldn't. So I
mm,
kind of live by that rule too. It's easy. You don't have to count anything. Just have to read the package. What's the grams of carbs per serving? 20? Mm-mm. Put it back. Find something else. And also, if I do have to go out to eat, I've researched their nutrition. Now, 3 weeks in was my birthday, 3 weeks after I started Carnivore. And we went to Red Lobster. And I knew before I ever walked in that the meal I was going to order was 5 grams. Now it's my birthday. Okay. I wasn't on the 5 gram rule. I was just trying to manage at that point. And I don't know if you've ever been to a Red Lobster or if they have them where you've ever lived, but they have a biscuit and it's called a Cheddar Bay biscuit. It's the cheesiest, fluffiest little biscuit that you could ever imagine. And they're absolutely delicious. Well, when I went there, I knew I could get a free piece of chocolate cake, which I did, but I didn't eat it. I gave it to everybody else at the table. I stuck the end of my fork in and got enough of it just to taste the chocolate, but that was it. And what I did do was I ate one of those biscuits, but I knew before I ever went in there that it's only 16 grams. Well, most keto people try to stay between 20 and 30. So I thought it's my birthday. As long as I stay keto, it's okay. Don't beat myself up over that. And I haven't. And I've taken Amanda's advice too. Um, and celebrate the 90% of what you've done good and don't beat yourself up over the 10. Just keep trying.
mm. It's important to just, yeah,
You have to celebrate your wins and you have to also be sure
definitely.
to include all of your non-scale wins. That's hard for me because being overweight and dieting my whole adult life, what that scale says is the be all end all. And it's really hard to change your mindset to where it's not. I do weigh once a week. That's it. Just because
Yeah.
I need the peace of mind of knowing that something hasn't happened and I'm all of a sudden going in the wrong direction. But it's just another tool at this point to just a check and a balance to make sure that I'm on track. Now, I did have a goal that I set way back when I started. And when I started on the keto on March 29th, I was 287 pounds. And then when I started carnivore, I was, about 263, I believe. Somewhere in there, I have it written down, but that's not real important. Um, so now, as of Saturday, I am 214, and I set my goal of 199 by New Year's Day. Now, I'm probably not going to make 199, but I'm going to be within single digits. And to me, that's a win for making a goal that far out, like 6 months. But I just wanted to see that first number be a one. No
Yeah.
two, one.
Nice. So yeah, like you say, you'll be if you don't reach that, you'll be very close, and then it's only a matter of days or weeks
Yeah,
until
maybe
it's.
another week or two at the
Mm.
most. So, yeah, I'm going to call that a win almost at this point, as long as well, I've been consistently for almost 3 to 4 months now. It's been 2 pounds a week, 2 pounds a week. I'm not exercising, and I'm not going to now because I don't want to risk putting on any muscle and making that scale go the wrong way. After the first of the year, I've got some of the stretchy bands here. Um, I just haven't been doing it. After my daughter got killed and the whole lockdown thing, and I was in a bad funk. Um, I live in Illinois, and Illinois is one of the states where marijuana is legal here completely. But I've had a medical card for several years because it does help me with my knee pain. That's why I'm considered disabled by the government, is because I've got a blown out knee. Um, and opioids, if like I can take one Vicodin that I've gotten, I just well, last year I fell and broke my shoulder, and I still have some of them left because I'd rather take the pain than to just be a knocked out zombie all the time. And that's what opioids do to me, and they're not good for you. At least the medical marijuana, it's here the way God put it here. And I can legally grow in my state. So I grow it. It's completely organic. I know exactly what's been done to it from seed to process. So it's all clean and pure. And so that's what I do. And other than that, I'm not on any prescription drugs. I've left them all. And I'm going to
Well,
make it time for my CBC after the first of the year. I'm going to make an appointment with my doctor and see if he'll order the test so I can go in and test, and then he's got the results when I go in, because I don't want to have to go back. And after he sees all these gorgeous test results, then I'm going to tell him why I haven't been taking any pills for 3 or 4 months now. So see you.
hmm. So on that point, so um, you've you've lost all this weight. Um, you've given up all these medications. Um, how what other things have improved for you? Like you mentioned, you had a bad knee. Like, have you had any improvements in that area since
Yes,
being carnivore?
inflammation. I could tell. My legs would swell. They would swell. My feet were always swollen. I can't stop looking and touching my body because it doesn't look like it's me. I look at my ankles and my lower leg, and it looks like someone else's because I can see all the tendons, all the bones. If I wiggle my toes, I can see everything moving. And I didn't used to be able to see that because it was under. so much inflammation and so much water retention that I couldn't see any of it. And I can see, and it's really weird. It's like it's starting at the extremities and it's working its way in, although I have lost a lot of my belly. My back doesn't hurt anymore when I stand from trying to hold up all that weight. But I'm going to show you the most bizarre thing. And I've lost over 100 pounds 3 different times in my life. And I've done the 50 to 80 thing too many to even try to count. And never, ever has the fat and left my body in this way. Now, if you look at my hands, here's my wrist bone. Some women, if they're overweight, they actually have a roll of fat right here. You can see, you can't see the wrist bones. I have no fat up here. This is all lean, but look where it is. It's like it's detached. It's like it's decoupled, and it's all just hanging here. And I've been watching this for about 3 months. It used to stop here. Let me get here. Used to stop here at my elbow. Now it's clear back here. And look at right here, my bicep. It's my bicep is actually showing. I've got a big cut right here where my muscle is, but I've got all this. So I think as it's moving and as it's disappearing, once again, that's all those little guys in there with their brooms sweeping up during autophagy. And I just have to be patient and watch it leave, which it's doing. And it's just a bizarre thing because I've never seen. I mean, yeah, I've been fat and had hangy skin, but it was always solid. This feels like I got a wad of chicken skin in my hand. It's just really bizarre. I'm
So
going the wrong way.
speaking of the autophagy, how are you eating now? Like, are you fasting for long periods each day?
Yes, it took me a little while to get to OMAD because I was in starvation mode constantly. That's what would happen to me is you try to go on the diet and they tell you eat all these nasty vegetables. Well, I don't like them. So if I had to choose of eating the nasty vegetable or just eat nothing, I would choose the nothing. I got where I can eat a lot of the vegetables raw, and Dr. Chafee was like, no, that's worse. Your body can't process that. The only way you should be eating vegetables if you cook them to mush, and I have texture issues. I can't do that. That's one of the reasons why I don't like vegetables is because of the texture. If you'd ever seen me in my earlier days eating a bowl of cereal, I look like I'm inhaling it because if there's one piece that gets soggy and I get to it, I'm done. Mm-mm. Get that away from me. So between the texture issues and not liking the way they taste and finding out that the way I was eating them was really bad, I would just choose the nothing. And so my stomach was shrunk up to where I didn't require much food to feel full. And I got to where I had to force myself to eat more. And then I got an understanding of the whole window, the food window, where you fast for 20 hours, but then you've got a 4 hour window where you can eat. And that started working for me because if I would stop for an hour or two, then I could put more in. And so then it was easily doing 18.6, and then I went to 24, and now I'm real close to doing 24 every day. Close. 22 to 26, somewhere in there, depending on if I'm hungry. If I'm hungry, I eat. And I can, and I know that, and it's a lot of it's mental, and that's why diets fail. I've learned that. Um, you can only deprive yourself for so long. And everything has a 12-step process. I don't care if it's alcohol, some other addiction, grief, divorce, death. Everything has a basic 12-step process that humans go through. And so you would start into that and you'd be gung ho and you'd be dieting, and then you'd lose a little bit of weight and it would fuel your fire. And then you'd all of a sudden, it's motivation. You'd start exercising and you'd, start doing all these healthy things. And then you get on the scale and you've gained 3 pounds. Okay, maybe some of it's muscle, but that your head can't take that. And then you go into the it's not fair. It's not fair that that person over there can eat from sun up to sundown and never gain an ounce. And I had relatives like that I had to look at. And you just walk by the bakery and smell it and you gain weight. And I know that's true now because Dr. Barry has a video about insulin response when you smell certain things. Because your body goes, oh man, she's going to eat. Let's get ready. There goes the insulin. And even though you never put it in your mouth, you've done damage just by smelling it until you can get over that. So you go through it's not fair, and then you get mad, you get angry. And why do I have to be deprived? Why do I have to suffer and not eat these things that I love to eat? And then you're on the verge of the binge right there. It's just a matter of a short period of time, because when you start feeling like that, it's coming, guaranteed. And so I had that happen a few months ago. It was warm enough here that I still had my windows open, and I knew there was nobody within a mile of me with a frickin' potato. And that's my weakness. And I'm sitting here watching TV, watching like basketball. I'm not even looking at food. And I smell a loaded baked potato. And I'm like, where's that coming from? And then a few hours, it goes away. And a few hours later, I smell fried potatoes and onions in bacon grease. And then it's hash browns. And then I realized, I was like, oh God, oh, it's a potato binge. And so I did some research and I was out shopping. And the fries is my worst. Um, so I went to McDonald's. I got 2 quarter-pound meat patties, no bread, but I ate the small order of fries, the little one in the bag that they give the little kids. And I knew before I ordered it that it's 31 grams. Well, by this time I knew I was fat adapted. Was pretty sure I was in ketosis regularly, and I was still really watching what I ate. So I ate them. It didn't derail my weight loss. I was still consistent with 2 pounds a week. And so I've added a few potatoes back in, but not, I don't eat them every day. Maybe once a week, maybe twice a month. You just have to, and before I would eat enough for 4 people. Now, if I eat one serving, that's 22 grams of carbs, eh, I can manage 22 grams. It's not going to hurt me or set me back. So I've resigned myself to the fact that I will never be able to divorce potatoes. So I had to learn how to manage them. It's kind of like having a bad boyfriend, I guess. You have to learn how to manage them instead of just divorcing them.
Mm. So, for you now, you've got your short-term goal, which is you want to try and get to 199 by the end of the year.
It's
What,
short term now, yes.
yeah, what is your longer term goal? Like, where would you like to see yourself in, in the
I
next
don't
year?
really have a number beyond that because once I get to one anything, I'm going to be fine mentally. And as long as I keep eating this way, I'm just going to let my body do what it feels is right. And at whatever point, like what Carrie did, Carrie finally, he lost 100 pounds and then he was having trouble, you know, still getting full and not losing more because he was starting, he was down to 160 pounds for a guy. I'd be thrilled if I was 160 pounds, and I'm probably got further to go than that, but I'm only 5'1". I'm not I don't know how tall Carrie is, but I'm sure he's average man size. So um, he's got a lot more room to distribute things than I do. But yeah, I don't have a number beyond the 199. I'm just going to let it do what it feels it needs to do. And I think my body will totally let me know what I need to do for it. You just have to listen.
How would you like if someone wants to get started, they've seen the results that you've got, um, how would you recommend someone start with this so that they can stick to it?
If you're starting cold, I would say do keto first. Start with a good keto diet. I would say get rid of as many of the vegetables as you can. And the main thing is just don't put any sugar in there. Don't put any sugar in there. There's no reason. The human body does not need sugar, not processed sugar. And here's another thing I've recently learned is about the glycemic index. Some foods are high glycemic index and some foods are low, which basically is where the fruit comes in. Now, some fruits are low, and I'm not a fruit person, but every once in a while, I'd like to eat an orange or an apple or maybe a few berries. Now, all of those things are low glycemic index. And what that means is that the carbs that are in that food are released into your body at a slower rate than a high glycemic index food, which is potatoes and watermelon and of course corn. The things I love, the two vegetables I love is corn and potatoes, and you're not supposed to eat them. They're bad. No, they're not bad. It's only when you misuse them that they're bad. 122-gram serving of mashed potatoes is not bad, and that's not what made me fat. It's eating 4 or 5 or 6 servings of mashed potatoes at one time, and then 2 hours later eating chips. And then back when before they outlawed it, I always had to have the supersized fry at McDonald's. The large wasn't good enough. I had to have the supersized one. Government outlawed that. Um, which is worse because then the people like me that are pissed off because they can't have their supersize, you order too large, and that's even worse. You get more. So everything that they try to do to restrict you just makes it worse. People got to pay attention.
It's
They got to
human
pay
nature, right?
attention. Don't let somebody else steer the ship. You steer the ship where you think you need it to go for you. And something else I've learned, there's 3 kinds of people. There's the people that make stuff happen. There's the people that observe and watch what happens. And then there's the people that say, what the hell just happened? And you don't ever want to be number 3. You don't ever want to be that person that's blindsided by whatever it is. You always have to keep your awareness, and that includes food and what your body's doing and what random people may be telling you, like the government with their upside down food pyramid trying to tell you that sugary cereal is better for you than steak.
So, Karen, do you have Facebook or an Instagram or a YouTube if people want to reach out to you?
My YouTube is my name right there, Karen's Carnivore Journey. Um, I have a Facebook. It's Karen M57 at Facebook, and it's under my full name, Karen Keeney McBride. Keeney's my maiden name. McBride's my legal name currently. Um, it's my ex-husband's name, but I kept it because it was easier to get around Southern Illinois with that name because there was a lot of McBrides, so I just kept it. It was easier. Um, I have an Instagram, but I don't really use it. I don't really get how the whole Instagram thing really works. I mean, I can go on there and look at somebody, but I don't really know how to use it for my benefit. I mostly just do YouTube.
Karen, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story with us. I really appreciate it.
Oh, anytime. Hopefully it helps somebody.